Welcome to Two Across, the podcast where two friends, generally sitting on opposite sides of the Atlantic, but not recently, sit down and catch up over a crossword. I'm Rob Cole, presently sitting in Rome, Italy.
And I'm Theo Bosanquet, still sitting in London. Hello.
Hello.
Ciao, I should be saying, Rob.
Yes, ciao. The hello, goodbye. It's a multi-purpose word.
It's a good one. I think that keeps things simple.
It does.
So, Italy, having previously been in Nepal, you are an international man of mystery. Tell us why you're in Italy.
So, well, Italy is halfway, maybe not halfway, but it's certainly on the way between Montreal and Kathmandu, but that's not why I'm here. My wife on the, what do you call it, Cyber Friday or Black Monday or whatever the heck, one of those American consumer holidays.
The Amazon-y thing.
Yeah, exactly. She actually, it was when I was in Nepal last, she saw this deal that was absolutely ridiculous for the kids' half term to Italy. And so she said, let's meet halfway in Italy on your way back from your next trip to Nepal. And so I am here in expectation of meeting my family tomorrow morning at Rome's airport.
Amazing. Rob, you're one of the most intrepid people I know. You have a brilliant way of just, you and your family just thinking, you know what? Let's just go somewhere for the hell of it. Yeah.
Yeah, full credit to my wife on that. I mean, my work is my work and it takes me to odd places sometimes, but she is absolutely intrepid when it comes to voyaging. She seeks out anywhere to go and she plans it meticulously, and she just absolutely loves change and can't tolerate sameness. So under her tutelage, we've done many interesting things.
Well, I'm really impressed. On completely the other side of the extreme, I'm like an old fridge in that as soon as I'm moved anywhere, I shut down, and it takes a certain amount of quite careful engineering to get me up and running again. I like to think I am a traveler and I am a man of the world, but the truth is I'm a bit of I'm a home bird. And as has been obvious from our first 10 episodes now, which is a bit of a milestone, by the way, congratulations to us.
Yeah, balloons.
But yeah, it must be obvious now that I'm the one that basically sticks where I am and you move around. So yeah, good for you.
Well, you were down on the South Coast recently, as I understand, for your kids' half term.
This is true. This is true. Let it not be said I do not travel, for I was in Dorset only a week ago.
Amazing. How was that?
It was lovely, actually. We went to Portland Island, which is not really an island because it is actually connected by a beach to the mainland. And that beach is Chesil Beach, which, for those who don't know, is an amazing, I think it's 8 or 9 miles of pebbles. And it was immortalized in a novel by Ian McEwan, just called On Chesil Beach, which is a really good novel. And I think was subsequently adapted into a film.
I was envisioning Enid Blyton.
Yeah. It does have Blyton-y vibes as well, I would say. You could definitely have lashings of lemonade down on Chesil Beach.
Yeah, well, you're a famous 5, 4 and a dog.
Very true. Very true. Although the dog didn't come with us, sadly, so he didn't get to experience the pleasures of Pebble Beach, Chesil Beach. It could be called Pebble Beach because it is so covered in pebbles. Anyway, so that's beautiful. And the island itself is quite interesting. It has, your kind of medieval fort and nice lighthouse and various other sites. But it is in the headlines currently because it's also the home of the Bibby Stockholm barge, which is very much not a tourist destination. But do you know what that is?
I do know what that is. That's the halfway house to Rwanda, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a very good way of putting it. And that, I would say, definitely, yeah. The awareness of the proximity of that was, we didn't really see it because it's kind of, the access road is unsurprisingly blocked off. But just the knowledge that that's there was faintly disturbing. But other than that, it was a very nice holiday.
Echoes of your comment last week about the zone of interest, frolicking close to an atrocity.
Yeah.
I felt that way yesterday, flying across the Black Sea. I actually took a picture and sent it to my wife, just thinking that here I was skirting the northern Turkish coast on the south of the Black Sea and thinking just north of here, there is a massive artillery being lobbed at Slav against Slav killing
Yeah.
lots of people for really no purpose, which is
Yeah.
sort of odd to think as you're just hopping from one place to the other on an airplane, blithely unaware of
Yeah.
the misery happening beneath you.
Do you know, I hadn't considered the analogy between my half-term family holiday and the zone of interest, but now you do mention it. Yeah. Yeah, that is a thought. And I suppose we always kid ourselves that we're somehow moral and pure and living out our good existences, even when in very close proximity to places that are reminders that this world is horribly unequal and full of brutality. Yeah, flying in a jet over a war zone is a very good example of that. Again, what a cheery thought, Rob.
We're definitely in that headspace these days.
We are, inevitably. And we're also, to bring it back to far more important matters, now 6-2 down in our ratio.
6-3,
in fact,
Theo.
6-3. 3, sorry, I'm doing us a disservice. Yeah, we are 6-3, which is poor form. But we can still pull it around. We still have an opportunity today to salvage a scrap of dignity. And I know you've been doing some practice, haven't you?
I have. So after our last episode, I said I was going to go do the previous one, which I did. And it was a little easier than the one we did last week, but not that easy. But then I did a few more just to sort of gauge the Guardian crossword and start to get into the headspace of whoever's writing them. And I don't know if that's going to help us today. I don't think it probably will, but it satisfied the itch I had to dive deeper into the Guardian crossword. So
You went method.
exactly.
Good for you. Well, I hope following your kind of intensive rocky montage of crossword training that we can prove today that we are not total ignoramuses and manage to at least complete a crossword, albeit inevitably with perhaps some errors. But anyway, let's see. So today we're going to do crossword number 16,786 on the Guardian Quick Crosswords. So do play along if you are so minded to do. And I'm going to set the clock running 30 minutes just to give us a bit of a deadline.
So let's change things up here. Let's change the way we do this. Often you throw it off to me after setting the timer to get us going. And now I think today, why don't you find us a place to start going? And let's see if we can change the energy, get some more productive feng shui happening around this.
All right, I'm going to go big. In fact, I think this is the longest answer on the board, if it can be so called. It's a 543, so 12 letters in total, and the clue is internet network. This is 3 down. Internet network.
543.
Which is what we're speaking on now.
Would it be World Wide Web?
Oh, yes, of course. I'm embarrassed that I even had to think about that.
Well, it's not really something we say anymore, really. Is it the web? You know, it sounds so 90s. I'm just doing a bit of web surfing.
Didn't we have Digicam a few episodes ago?
Yeah.
I mean, it's in a similar bucket to that, I think.
Do we still web surf? I mean, web surfing sounds so empowered, whereas it feels like now rather than surfing on something, we're subsumed or sucked into this vortex of pointlessness.
Yes. Previously, we were the Beach Boys, back in the 90s, just on our surfboards, just over the white caps, having a good time.
Yeah, exactly. Now we're like The Cure.
Yeah, exactly that. We are there with our pale faces, just one arm waving above the filth. Anyway, that's a good start. That's a strong start.
It's a strong start. Theo, I'm going to look at 11 across, and I'm going to suggest that we might get this could be a cannon of a start. So 11 across is 4 letters, 8 letters, and it's hard to comprehend. The first word, if it's World Wide Web, ends in D. So it's space, D, and then 8 spaces. And I long to believe that this could be something we had a few weeks ago.
So you missed out a little bit of the clue, I think. It's far-fetched - hard to comprehend. But nevertheless, so it's an answer we had a few weeks ago, is it?
It could be. I think it might be.
Which would be
Mind?
You're going to have to help me. Oh, mind-boggling.
It would fit.
But last time, was it done as 2 words with a dash, or was it done as a single word?
Maybe they
I'll have to
added the
check on that one.
dashes after 16,749.
Ooh.
Well, let's try and let's see if we can get one down to see if the O, for instance, of mind-boggling would work. So what about 4 down is a tabloid, 3 letters, 3 letters.
A something rag?
Yeah, and then that wouldn't.
But yeah, it may not be that though, because to my knowledge, it's just known as a rag in the slang.
Yeah.
Oh, I got it. It's red top. It's red top.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Which means that does work, Rob. This is very exciting.
This is hugely exciting. Let's just see if we can go for the full Babe Ruth, or Reggie Jackson rather, calling the shot across the left field bleachers. We're 8 down, which is 6-6.
I got one of those references. Babe Ruth.
Tap dance star. It is 6 letters, 6 letters. And if it is mind-boggling, it would be a G in the 4th place. And I think I might know what it is, but I think you know what it is too.
I definitely know what this is. I was a huge Fred Astaire fan.
And he loved to dance with?
Ginger Rogers. I've just written in Ginger Astaire. Bit of a Freudian slip. But there we go. We're absolutely off and running.
Yeah, let's not get too excited. I think
we've made that mistake before.
But let's at least feel good about ourselves.
Okay, I'm already encountering something that's, I think, going to cause me some pain and possibly some embarrassment. 6 down, ending in I, assuming it's mind-boggling, which I think we can assume it is now. 6 down is Jewish scholar, 5 letters ending in I.
Well, this is what makes Judaism so interesting, is that the priest is also a scholar.
Oh, obviously. No embarrassment needed. It's a rabbi. Beautifully done. Because as I was going to say, embarrassed because as a quarter Jewish person myself, a man of Jewish heritage.
I didn't know that, Theo.
Did you not? No, it's my grandmother, who was children's author, Eva Ibbotson, a wonderful, wonderful author, well worth reading, he says, without a single hint of any bias. Yes, she was my grandmother, and she was from Austria, and her family were Jewish, but emphasis on the ish. I would say the family were culturally Jewish as opposed to strictly religiously Jewish. But it does go down the mother's side, so on a technicality.
Did she make it to the UK on the Kindertransport, or?
So she was fortunate enough that her father actually moved over to the UK in the early 30s because he got a job as an academic at Edinburgh University. He's a fascinating character as well that I'll probably talk about at some point. But anyway, he got this job in, I think it was 31 or 32. So she came over just prior to the Anschluss, and she fortunately escaped, but many of the family did not. And my mum and my uncles have done some impressive research into the wider family story. And yeah, it's needless to say quite sobering. Of course, we feel very fortunate that she got out when she did. And I think, she was still a young girl, so only had quite faint memories. But many of her books are set in Vienna, which was where the family lived during that golden age. Yeah, no, it's all very interesting stuff. But all of which is to say, I'm very glad we got Rabbi. So let's move on.
So the rabbi gives us a 5th letter of B for run with the ball, which is 7 letters, D space I space B space space. So this is an English crossword, not appreciating that running with the ball in basketball is called traveling. You cannot carry the ball. However, if you run while bouncing the ball, it is called
a dribble.
A dribble. You were dribbling. All right. Colored I part, 4 letters. 5 across, 2nd letter is an R.
Feeling good, then that's got to be an iris, no?
Indeed.
Are the crossword gods finally being kind?
Well, Let's see. They only need to throw one roll mop at me and I'm on the floor. So I'm going to
throw back to episode 4, possibly, or 5.
I think that might have been 7 or 8, but yeah, recent. Anyway, recent enough to still sting. 7 down is a charmer. S space E space G and then 3 spaces. That's 8 letters long. Charmer.
Okay. Charmer. A sledge. Let's try that. Let's try and get the other letter we can get in that one, which is 14 across.
Yep.
And the clue is ethnic. 6 letters. Second letter R. Might need another letter in that one as well.
I think we do. Want to shoot for 15 down? I think you might be able to get this as a good Brit and a hater of papist plots.
Catholics.
Yeah. Oh, see, I was just going to say papists because it sounds a bit better, but yeah.
I should say what the clue is, actually, before I start slagging off Catholics. I'm not anti-Catholic, obviously. The clue is November the 5th blaze, ? Which I assume is bonfire.
I would imagine it is. That was something that was really cool for my kids when we moved to the UK, because they didn't have, obviously we don't celebrate Guy Fawkes in Canada, and it is right after Halloween, which we do celebrate.
Yeah.
And so their first bonfire night, when they saw this orgy of lighting off fireworks and culminating in the burning of an effigy, was really quite something.
Oh,
and
yeah.
the fact that that holiday has such staying power, that the foiling of a Catholic plot to detonate Parliament is still celebrated in, 15 or 14? It was a long time ago, like maybe 1600s. Oh, yeah. When did Guy Fawkes come to his end after being discovered?
I want to say 1605. I'm not going to Google it because we can't do that,
no.
As per the rules of 2 Across. I've put my proverbial neck on the block, appropriately enough, this being talk about Guy Fawkes. I've put my dignity on the line here by going out there on some information that could well be straight wrong. But 1605 is calling to me. I know the Great Fire of London was 1666, but that's obviously completely unrelated, apart from the bonfire.
Well, maybe that was the revenge of God. Let's look at frustrate. 13 across, 6 letters, 4 spaces, I space. And I think that could be stymie.
Yes, that is a lovely guess.
And that would make Y the last letter of academic sporting allegiance, which is 7 letters long, ending in I space Y. Now, if this is American, or if American leaning, in America they call sports varsity sports.
Do you know, I hope it is that, because that would be a rare example of Guardian crossword favouring American English or American knowledge. I'm very glad you got that, because I would have been struggling.
Thereby making the Guardian a friend of the podcast.
Do you know, maybe all is forgiven. Maybe.
As we are a cross-cultural podcast here.
I'm just still agonising over whether the gunpowder plot was 1605.
I'm going to go with 1605. That feels right to me. That is a good feeling.
It's all going to be revealed at the end of the episode, along with the clues we inevitably got wrong. Should we do 1 across then?
I was going to try and get one more before we tackle that, which was a utensil for apples. 9 across, space R.
Oh, a Cora.
Nice. Yes. That sounds good to me.
That's a thing.
Yeah, let's just try to get one more before we tackle 1 across.
Okay.
Which is 1 down, is a train puller. Space, C, space. I'm just trying to think of Thomas the Tank Engine. What were they all? But of course the tank engines did the pulling.
My train spotting father would definitely get this.
Let's try 1 across and see if we can give ourselves one more.
Yeah. Because we're going to have to get one of these.
A vivacious type. Space, V space. Second word, W space R space. And I believe that is a live wire.
Ah, live wire. Beautiful. Oh, so the first one, loco.
Oh my God.
Do we think?
Yeah, that sounds absolutely fine to me. I've never heard it called a loco, but I mean, that's kind of the thing. I would imagine one would do. And
Because obviously locomotive would be the full
no, loco sounds great to me.
expression, but yeah. Okay. Let's heavy pen.
Heavy pen.
That's the top left corner. Done.
Ooh, 14 across. I think I have it for ethnic. So it's space R space B space space for ethnic.
Go on.
I think it's tribal. Does that work?
Absolutely does work.
And then we may be able to do the whole top section if we can get this charmer.
So, and we're not going to get any more letters.
I've got it.
I've got it as well. It's Svengali.
You got it.
Oh my word. So they meant literal charmer rather than...
Well, wasn't Svengali a charmer? What's the limit between hypnosis and charm?
There's a question we can't get into now because we have 13 minutes and 38 seconds.
Okay, let's build on our advantage here because we are doing well, so let's not waste this. Take us to the next place, Theo. So for listeners, we have the whole top absolutely done, and we've got some incursions into the bottom, which we haven't yet explored. So this is both stressful and exciting.
So let's start in the bottom right corner. 3 across is, the clue is likelihood, and we've got 8 letters. 4th letter S, 6th letter E, likelihood. So that's the chances of something, but doesn't fit. We may have to
come back to that one, I think.
Cream, 21 across.
E space I space space.
Yeah, 5 letters beginning with E, cream.
I have no idea.
No. It's okay. Okay, Rob, another American one. 19 down, Chicago coin.
I know, I saw that.
Dime.
Well, that's the only coin that is 4 letters long, right? So it's a quarter, a nickel, a dime, and a penny. So a dime would be
Chicago?
I don't know. I mean, there's the game Chicago. I don't know if that has some kind of role. But then cream would be E space I space I.
Yeah. Just doesn't seem right, does it?
It doesn't. Oh, wait a minute. No. It's like ante or chip. Like a chip, like as in poker. Isn't Chicago a gambling game as well?
Yeah.
And then cream would have an H as its last letter.
Let's come back to it.
Okay.
Nosy Parker, 6 letters.
So a nosy Parker is someone who, could that be a gossip?
Gossip or I was going to say peeper, like a peeping Tom, but that's not really quite right, is it? I think gossip is a better guess.
Well, 20 across is credit, which is space, 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 4 spaces, E space, and then maybe an S at the end. I mean, it could be to credit someone if it ended in ESS or something.
Or credit as in like financial credit.
That's the first thing I was thinking.
This has been a crossword of 2 halves.
It has, actually.
The bottom half is really quite tricky. 8. Let's try 12 down. Construction, 8 letters. Potentially second letter of S.
Yes. I mean, I think it's definitely a second letter of S.
I think it is stymie. Yeah, I think it is stymie.
Construction. Assembly?
Yeah. That's a very good guess.
And that gives us some interesting stuff because it puts a B as the first letter of credit.
There's also quite a big, there's another big one, which is a 327. So it's another 12 letter. And the clue is quite difficult. It's nice German Niff? ? So it could be ein.
Yeah.
Something.
Well, Theo, just to get an easy one, 22 across is Sasquatch relative. Starting with Y, 4 letters. Coming from the land of the Sasquatch relative, in fact, because this, I believe, is where this Sasquatch relative lives.
Yeti?
Yeah. Very apropos. And then this may prove your ein, because 18 down is dark.
Dark.
Ending in T.
Night.
I'm thinking night, but then that would put G as the third letter of our credit, which would be B space G space E space potentially S.
Ah, credit. And we're not going to get any more letters in there.
No. The thing about this nice German Niff, and what is a Niff, by the way? I don't even know what that is.
I've not a clue.
Because if the second word is two letters ending in E, so it's E space space, and then space E, and then space 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 O space N space.
Again, with my Austrian roots, I'm feeling embarrassed. So ein, de, I assume.
Well, that's not even a German word.
What, de?
No.
No?
French.
Just de.
No, it's der, die, and das in German. So it's not.
So let's go through the alphabet. I, C, D, F. And that third word. Oh, z, z. So it could be eins.
ZE is not a word in German either.
It is. Z. Ein Z.
No, Z is SIE.
But you can.
And the Z is pronounced sa in German. It's pronounced TS, so it's not.
Look, we haven't got anything better at this point.
Well, let's just let's look at this credit.
Yeah. So it's got to be a vowel in that second spot because it's B blank G blank E blank S.
Yeah. So night is wrong then? I mean, what could be dark? Space, 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 T. So 4 spaces and then T for dark. Oh, man. Nice German Niff. That's really frustrating because I don't know what a Niff is.
It sounds like it should be an anagram, doesn't it? But
yeah, it does sound like it should be an anagram, but it's not. So if a nosy Parker is a gossip, I don't think it is a gossip.
No, let's clear that. Oh, Rob, I had such hopes. Such hopes today.
This is why we can't be too hopeful, because cream, I mean, bonfire looks right, and we know Ginger Rogers is right. So let's just do a rundown here for our listeners. So from 17 across, we have nice German Niff, whatever a Niff is. Sounds like a small dog, maybe. 3 letters, E space space, then followed by 2 letters, space E, followed by 7 letters, space space, O space N space. And we're pretty comfortable with all of those letters. Then we've got a credit would be B space 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 E space space. I keep thinking bequest, but this doesn't work. And then
I don't know if the mic picked it up, but the dog just made a very strange sound. I think he's dreaming.
He's dreaming of a nice German Niff.
Oh.
He's thinking that would be nice. If I could find myself a nice German Niff.
Oh, no.
Likelihood is space space S space E space space. I mean, you would think that would be ENT.
This is swiftly moving from looking like one of our most successful crosswords to now becoming one of our least.
I know. It's amazing, huh?
We're absolutely floundering here.
We are completely floundering. This is rather pathetic. Alas, we'll get there. Or we'll get nowhere. And cream.
Likelihood.
Allied? What is the activity of creaming something?
Ginger Rogers has got to be right.
Oh, it's got to be right. There's just no chance it's not right.
It's got to be an E. Cream beginning with E. Earth. Let's stick dime in because it's something.
Yeah, I guess. But the rest of it, I mean, maybe assembly is wrong. No, it's got to be right because it's space S, 5 spaces Y. I mean, that's got to be right. And then you'd think that 18 down, dark, ending in T, 5 letters. I mean, night sounds about the only thing I can think of.
This nice German Niff is just ridiculous. Oh! Hang on a minute.
What you got, Theo?
Could it be, so Niff as in like a scent,
Okay.
could it be eau de cologne?
Oh my God, yes, of course.
Yeah?
Oh my gosh, okay, let's go, because you've just busted this open. Let's see if we can make some headway here. Well done. So unlit for dark, U space
Yes.
NLIT, and then
Yeah.
credit could be, it could be belief, or it could be, no, that won't fit.
Yes, like I credit you with beliefs.
Or believe, or it could be believe as well.
I believe. Sod it, we haven't got time, we've got a minute.
Or what if it's beliefs, because then gossip would fit,
Yes, okay.
just to be able to get more things in.
And then likelihood.
Likelihood, space P, space S, space E, space. Likelihood. You'd think that would be a vowel as the first one.
Oh, this.
Or an S, but I don't think it's an S.
Oh, we're so close. We're 10 seconds. We just need 2. We're 2 away. Bloody cream. 4, 3. I'm penning in something. That's it.
Oh, dude.
We got so close.
We got so close.
We got so close, Rob. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Should we get, which one do you want first? 23?
Yeah, because it's going to tell us if gossip is right, and it's going to tell us if dime is right.
Okay.
Likelihood.
So dime is not right. But a noise gossip. It's prospect, which means that dime.
Oh, so it can't be believed then. Can you just check? Let me just check this.
No. Okay, it's all unraveling, Rob.
Well, no, believe is right. So, okay, prospect for likelihood, I guess, yeah.
Believe. So what's gossip? Not gossip. What's nosy Parker? It is Is it peeper? No.
Well, no, because it's cologne, so it's space O, space E, space R. And nosy Parker.
It's another French word. It's voyeur.
Oh, wow. Yes. See, I thought like a peeping Tom would have been a much better clue for a voyeur.
Right. I'm going to double check Ginger Rogers because...
It's right, dude. It's got to be right.
It's got to be right. Yeah, it is right. So that means this cream word, and I have a feeling this is going to be very annoying.
Could be another French word.
Well, I think it's going to be something that doesn't mean literal cream.
Yeah. Elite.
Exactly. There you go.
Yeah, I saw it just there when as soon as you said it wasn't a literal word, it's like, of course. So our Chicago coin is space E, space T. A cent. It's got to be a cent.
And it is.
So I don't know why that's a Chicago coin, but just to say, the only 2 that we didn't get right, because we did get the rest afterwards, were voyeur and prospect. That was not an easy, well, we're always saying that it wasn't easy, and we're always making excuses for ourselves. I really, like you, believe that today was the day, but let's not wallow. I think the wallowing has got to end.
The wallowing has got to end. I mean, there's no point wallowing, Rob, because we're so far down now in terms of our scores. We may as well stop counting. I mean, we've got through 10 episodes now, and we're 7-3 behind. So maybe we just from here on, don't get bogged down in scores and ratios.
No, I don't think there's any point. Statistically speaking, after this many episodes, the likelihood that we're going to get back to level pegging or even a positive score is probably low if we keep doing these crosswords. They definitely are on a degree of difficulty on a 5. I wouldn't put these as a 5, but they're definitely... My 5 crossword is the New York Times crossword. That was always just ridiculously hard. But these are probably a solid 3.5 to 4, whereas the call-ins are a 2 to 3, I'd think.
Can I attempt to salvage some dignity by... I'm going to Google the gunpowder plot. If I got 60, if it was 1605, it was 1605.
Yeah. Put that in our column.
If I'd got that wrong and we'd completed the crossword, I think I would have been more devastated.
I think so.
That's great. Because I had faint memories of it coinciding with Shakespeare's time.
Uh, and it did.
And it did.
And it never figured even metaphorically in one of his plays.
That's a really interesting point. I think it was, as often with Shakespeare, audiences at the time would have appreciated the allusion to threats to the monarchy or whatever it may be. But no, he didn't. He didn't write about it directly.
They were more sensitive to allegory back then. It seems like everything was allegorical. I remember my English lit class in first year, English lit 101, sitting in the where were we? We were in a chemical building in McGill, sitting at the very top, while he regaled us with a reading of the Fairy Queen. I had this
Ah,
awesome English lit professor who could actually speak Old English. So when he read Chaucer, he would
wow,
read it in the Old English with what I suppose people assumed or he assumed to be the correct pronunciation. Of course, no one can know for sure because Chaucer
indeed.
can't tell us.
Yeah, but that he sounds like a cool guy. I'm just so I was going to pretend this to Lochaber, I think, the historical counterpart of Shakespeare's, the friend who Macbeth betrays and has murdered. So there you go. It was referenced, but in a very roundabout way.
But that was the whole point of Macbeth, right? It was when James the First ascended to the English throne to add it to the Scottish throne, and Macbeth was a sort of welcome to the club.
Um, so what are your Italy plans over the next few days?
Well, the kids get here tomorrow, so they're arriving at 11 a.m. at the airport. So I've got to make my way back over there and greet them. And then we're staying in Rome for a few days. And then we're actually going to go down to the East Coast to Bari. And my
Oh,
wife has
lovely.
found a walk. It's 5 days long. I believe it's 125 kilometers. I hope that none of my children hear this before we do that walk because we haven't told them that it's that long. We just said, oh, we're going to do a bit of walking. It'll be great. But it averages
The,
25 kilometers a day. So we're going to do that. We've arranged
yeah.
all of our places we're going to stay on the way, little sort of farm stays and things like that that apparently are great. It's this alternate to the Camino, apparently. Well, not an alternate, but it's, these sort of pilgrimage routes. I think people have realized that restoring an old pilgrimage route can make tourism gold after the Camino managed to do it in the last sort of 30 or 40 years of becoming a pretty well-known route. And so now they've set this one up, sort of rehashed an old pilgrimage route in southern Italy, and they're putting it together and sort of making the links in the different guest houses and stuff. So my wife found out about that and connected the dots, and yeah, we're going to do that.
Amazing. I went to Puglia several years ago. The kids were, well, time, I think we only had one kid, but she was too young to really embark on pilgrimages at that stage. And we were with another family, so we just stayed in one place. But it's a beautiful part of the coast and the Mediterranean, and it feels very different. I found it very distinctive from any other part of Italy. It's quite Grecian in terms of the landscape, lots of olive trees everywhere, and these beautiful, truly buildings. I hope that's the right pronunciation, but the kind of conical roofs you see dotted about the landscape, and also amazing food and wine. Really, really good Primitivo wine and burrata cheeses and all sorts of goodies. So, yeah,
Yeah, I'm pretty excited because I've been subsisting on dal bhat for the last 3 weeks, which is
yeah,
the sort of Nepali standard food, which literally just means lentils and rice. And it's actually more than lentils and rice. The lentils and rice are the sort of base. You have like a sort of watery dal, and then you have as much rice as you want. And they'll keep bringing it to you. And then they have a couple of other little curries floating about the sides. And to be honest, for a week or two, I can subsist on that quite happily. But I have to admit, after 3, 4 weeks that I was almost there for, it does start to wear on you. I've also spent the last 4 weeks without consuming any alcohol because that's pretty
wow,
easy to do in Nepal. I mean, people don't actually drink
yeah,
a lot. I didn't really see the purpose in just having a beer for the sake of having a beer of an evening. And so coming to Italy all of a sudden, just walking the streets today of Rome and seeing Italian food and wine and thinking, oh, that'd be nice. Sit down and have a nice glass of
glorious.
red wine and plate of pasta, something really starchy and absolutely no nutritional benefit, but very pleasant and warming to the soul. So I'm pretty excited to be here and spend 2 or 3 weeks eating Italian food.
Yeah, you can stumble off the wagon and back onto the horse in fine style.
Well, I had a call the other night with some folks actually in the UK, and the first thing one of them said, and I don't know if it's reaction to the shorn face or not, he said, "Ooh, Rob, you look like you might need to put on a bit of weight, my friend." So I wonder if my doll-bought diet hasn't gone to my face, as it were. So maybe I do need to
Wow.
have a bit of a Italian food healing.
I think that's just the shave. I think it's just getting rid of the beard has done that. It's taken pounds off you.
Yeah, they say it takes years off you as well. So my wife always says my beard makes me look 5 or 10 years older.
My beard growing is very patchy at best, and all I can really produce is a sort of musketeer style goatee, which my wife, let's just say she's not a big fan. And last time I attempted to grow it, she said either that stays or I stay, but not both, which I think is harsh.
They do that. That's sort of they try to draw the line. But if you actually cross it, eventually they don't love it, but they sort of learn to live with it. And then you can just let it grow. During the lockdown, which is actually for listeners when Theo and I got to knowing each other, the second lockdown in the UK, I just grew an enormous beard. I think it was that moment that just before Christmas in 2020, when they announced that it was going to be, Boris Johnson's long face. It's hard to make that round, chubby face long, but there it was, looking somewhat long, suggesting that we were in for months more of being locked into our houses. Yeah. And I resolved at that moment. And I remember they pegged March 18th as the date that they were going to lift it. That was the first time they'd ever given a date. Everything was always, well, we'll see. We'll just watch for the numbers to come down. But they said March 18th. And I said, okay, this beard is not going to come off until March 18th. And I'm not even going to touch it with clippers or a razor. And I just grew this awful, enormous, bushy beard. And actually, to give credence to your statement, my marriage did not reach its high point during those 3 months.
That was actually the last time I attempted to grow it as well. When
it's fun to do a beard check-in every once in a while, like when you are clean shaven, every sort of 2 years, just do a quick check-in, because it's surprising sometimes how some of those patchy areas start to fill in over time. I think I wore a beard on and off for the last 8 years because I finally could. And I was just so amazed by that fact. I thought, I've got to grow this. I mean, I've only got so more years of not too white beard. I've got to own this moment. So I did.
Maybe at some point I can swallow my pride, get through that awkward transitional stage. Although the problem for me is that just goes on and on and on. It never finishes. It never transitions into an impressive beard. It just keeps being very patchy and
so
rubbish.
Here's what you have to do, because this is something, when you fly through Istanbul airport, there's something that catches your eye very quickly, especially if you roam around the terminal, which I often do just to get a bit of walking in between flights. You see all these men roaming around with headbands on. Black headbands, always a black headband. Like, why are all these men wearing black headbands? And they often have sort of what looks like a day pack on their back. Like, it looks like they're traveling pretty light. They all have the exact same look. And then as you get up close to them, you realize that the sides of their head are kind of all bloody. They're dotted by these bloody things. And all of them, without exception, are shaved-headed. I was like, what's going on here? And then all of a sudden, it's like, of course, Turkey is the world headquarters of hair transplants. And all of these men have come to Turkey to have their hair transplanted. And they're all the same. They're all sort of in their late 20s, early 30s. They still want to be beautiful. Whereas if you just let yourself bald, you resign yourself to accepting that your beauty is not what it was, and you are moving into a different phase of life. But they're still clinging on to it. And so what they all have is this Wayne Rooney front of head new follicleization. They literally look like a patch of grass in a park that's been roped off, seeded, and is being lovingly watered every day.
And we all know where that hair has come from as well. They've patched back onto their heads.
Well, they've harvested it from wherever they can, and hence all the dottage on the side and back of the head. But what I was going to suggest in my long and circuitous way is that you could have a beard transplant. I mean, you got a decent head of hair, despite your protestations of recession. You could get to Turkey, have a few of them brought out, fill in the patches, and then come back, just, stay in Turkey, find a reason to stay. Just say you're going for a cure. to say to your wife, I'm going to rehab or something. So in fact, back up, start drinking heavily for several months until she says she accepts you going to Turkey for a month for rehab. Have it reseeded and then come back triumphantly with this patchless, beautiful, thick, lustrous beard.
And totally bald head. I don't see what could go wrong with this plan, Rob. I think that's, in fact, I'm going to go off right now, look into flights, book myself into the clinic. And incidentally, didn't mention it at the time, but love the way you described it as the headquarters.
Well, I didn't even think about that.
Actually, I have one more head-related pun just to throw into the mix before we depart, which is I have these two hairbrushes which were given to me as a christening gift by my godfather when I was very small, and they have my initials on them. It was a nice gift, and I've still got them to this day, even though I don't really need them now because my hair is very short. But nevertheless, my daughter now uses them. It turns out they work brilliantly well on her hair. And the other day, she sort of went to put them down quite roughly on the side. And I said, "Careful, that's my heirloom."
Whereupon she fell to the ground in laughter, clutching her sides.
helpless with mirth at my witticism. No, she gave me an absolute death stare and said I was the most embarrassing person she'd ever known. But nevertheless, I was proud of that, Rob, and I'm glad I got a chance to share it.
One last thought on that, because we're going to about our longest episode ever for one of our worst failures ever. But there you go.
Go on.
Because what is it exactly? Like in your 20s or 30s, you would have shuddered at that kind of pun making. It'd be absolutely no way would you have done it. But now you, like me, feel compelled to make these puns and to just hear the groans and to feel somewhat satisfied by them. And I wonder if there's not some evolutionary thing in us that obliges us to become a sort of risible, vaguely old-fashioned fuddy-duddy type character as we get older, because we are actually passing the baton to the generation. It's saying, look, you know what? Dad's not cool. You're cool. Yeah. Take this baton, you go into your world, you be cool, you do your thing. You run the show now. I'm just going to sit back here and make terrible puns.
We can't help it. It is genetic. And I think, I've always made bad puns. But as soon as you have children, your pun making is thrown into a very different light, and you no longer have a sympathetic audience. You don't even get acknowledgement for the craft. In that, I'm not saying that was the best pun ever made, but it wasn't bad, and it was off the cuff.
Yeah. But
no, you just get active scorn, which only makes you want to make more. That's the thing.
It's true. It's a mutually reinforcing. And so maybe that is the food that the pun feeds on, is scorn.
The gel in the Petri dish of pun making is scorn. Yes. There we go. Well, what a revelation to end on. Rob, it's been a pleasure as always. Enjoy your Italian escapades, and we look forward to hearing about them next time.
Absolutely.
So until then, take care.
Until then, stay fit and have fun. You've been listening to Two Across, a podcast by Rob Cole and Theo Bosenket, theme music by Enthusiasts. This is episode 10 of Two Across. If you've been listening for a while and like what you've been listening to, we would absolutely love it if you would just give us a quick thumbs up, give us a couple of stars on whatever podcasting platform you're listening to, even write a review. That would be helpful. A bit of feedback, always nice. And looking forward to seeing you here next time.